What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on these analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTR today, looking at some indicators and other things that are relevant to Bitcoin. You can see we have our nice bull flag being formed. We're just trending sideways. We've been honestly sideways ever since, mid-November. You can see this entire move. Really just a deviation to the downside, but overall, we really have just been in this zone this entire time. I really wouldn't expect too much to happen at the moment until Bitcoin gets a durable break to the upside. We'll probably continue to chop. We have our golden zone above our head that we've been speaking about. It's given us way more trouble than I anticipated. I knew it was going to give us some resistance, but not this much. It has been suppressing price, but remember, the longer something's compressed, the larger the breakout typically is. So you can see we had a pretty decent compression here. We had a pretty sizable move there, and you can see the same thing here. We had a nice long compression here, sizable move, and then we had a short one here, but we compressed pretty long in this instance here, and then we had a nice move to the upside. So we'll see where things take us. I'm still very optimistic. I still believe that this leg is looking more so as similar to this one than to this one over here. And I'm still open to the idea of us pulling back to the 0.5 to the 618 as we did here. We had our nice run up here, pulled back to the 0.5, 618, the golden zone, which is a key level to push price up into the upside because it's the bullish pool. And I could see the same thing happening here. If you want to take it from here or to the other one, doesn't matter. It doesn't really make too much of a difference. 0.5 to 618 would be 330, roughly in that area. Not saying it's going to happen, but be open to the idea. The 382 is sitting at the bottom of this key level of support and resistance. And we are holding that pretty well right now, which is also a good sign. But yeah, we're just trending sideways. Nothing much is really happening, as you can see. And MSTR kind of underperformed yesterday, and today it outperformed. So it's always that battle. Is MSTR leading in this instance? Is it lagging? So potentially MSTR was just front running this drop that we were getting on Bitcoin. I mean, it could really be that simple. Who knows? And today it started to outperform IBIT. So we'll go over that on the charts. It outperformed by almost 2%, which is pretty awesome. That's nice. That's what we want to see. Although it was a red day, outperformance over Bitcoin is the key thing. That's all we really care about. That goes to show that MSTR is doing its job. But as we can see here on the chart, we're just trending sideways. Nice bull flag. Very, very bullish price action at the moment. So if you were to draw it out like this, and that was our hypothetical bottom over here, it takes us to about the middle of this channel here. When you zoom out, that's the best thing you can do in these kind of times, just zoom out. It gives you a little peace of mind. But yeah, you can see that would take us to the middle of this channel if this bull flag were to play out. And of course, if we take this larger bull flag to the top here from this move, because that smaller bull flag is just a bull flag within this whole flagpole. So that would take us, to about $1,000 or something like that. But we'll see that when we get there. Of course, we'll be talking about that as we're continuing up in price. But right now, we just need to get that durable break that we've been waiting for. We'll see where things take us, of course. And when you pull down, the touch of the 3272 to about the 3, but price actually closed within the 2618 to the 2272, which I think is the more ideal, realistic area, in my opinion. And when you take it here, 2272 to 2618 is where that measured flagpole would land. The 3 to the 3272 is sitting at 1370 to about 1500. Maybe if we get a blow off top, maybe if we get a nice extended move like one of these here. So these moves were about If it depends on where you count it from, but if you count it here, it was about a 5-6 week move, and this one was a much longer move. This one was about 10 weeks. So if we get a 6 to 10 week move to the upside of nonstop green large candles, then things could really start ramping up, and the multiplier can get going. MNAV's currently sitting at 1.87, so not terrible. On the ballistic model, we're undervalued by 15%, deviating 15% to the downside, and that's kind of where I like to use the model too. I like to deviate it 15 to the upside, 15 to the downside, just to get a wide range of the possibilities, because nobody really knows where it's going to go exactly. People can pretend like they do, but nobody knows. And also on the crypto fear and greed, you can see we are sitting in the neutral zone, but a little towards the fear zone. Not by much, just by 2 points. But yeah, typically these are decent times to accumulate when you're sitting at neutral. But if you think about it, we're sitting at neutral and price is sitting at 375. So if we can get overheated for, like I said, a 5-6 week period, this thing can get much higher, much quicker. I mean, just in this last leg here, when Bitcoin ran up about 40%, we ran up about 82, 83%. So if Bitcoin were to run up another 40% and we take it from this point here, and we run up another 80 something percent, that would actually land at the midline of this upward sloping channel, which lines up with this bull flag here that we spoke about earlier. So another move similar to this one would take us right there to that midline. So things can definitely get overheated quickly, and we're obviously not going to get any durable breakouts until we get a very large spike in momentum and volume, which we haven't been seeing on MSTR at all. Here on the SMAs, we're still trending above our 20. It is slowly creeping up. Maybe we'll end up making contact with it. I'm not too sure yet. We'll find out, of course. Let's see if price starts to ramp up. Maybe this will curl up, and then we get a pullback to it so for instance, let's say we were to break out, and that would kind of bring this moving average up. And then as we retest our breakout point, maybe that's where we touch that 20 SMA and then make our exaggerated move to the upside. But of course, it doesn't have to happen. Here on the daily, we did get a bounce off of our 50 after falling underneath our 20. So at least we're holding the 50 and this key level of support here, sitting at 366 to about 352. So we want to get a push up and close above the 20, and then of course continue fighting with this downward sloping trend line and this golden zone, which is this large gray area here. So that's where we're looking at. We want to break this downward sloping trend line and this golden zone here. Those are our key levels of resistance above our head right now. And at the same time, we have extra on top of our head. On the 4 hour, we have the 50 and the 20 that we also have to break above and get durable closes. We want to get a solid close, retest, and then a move up. On the weekly RSI, it looks like we're coming into contact with the yellow moving average right now. We will be making a decision relatively soon. So let's see if we fall through or we actually get that bounce that we've been speaking of. On the daily, we actually fell through, but we are still holding a bullish structure. It's still creating higher highs and higher lows. It actually might have broken that structure. It might have broken that. It depends on how you draw it. But pretty much if we get another day where we close a little bit lower, we'll probably fall underneath, and then now we're looking at where's our bottom going to be at. Are we going to fall here, or are we going to fall a little bit further down? We'll find out, of course. On the weekly MACD, it's the same thing that we were speaking of. We're just waiting for volume, and there's no volume right now, so nothing's really going to happen until we get some volume there. And here on the daily, kind of the same concept. We're actually getting a little bit of an increase to the downside, but not by much. It's still kind of flat for the most part, but it is heading down towards bearish territory. It's still bullish in terms of like the dotted line, but this is overall pretty bearish. And on the 4-hour, we were starting to become bullish. It's still creating higher highs and higher lows, but it's starting to flip bearish now. Kind of have a mixed bag. Short term, pretty bearish. Mid to long term, bullish right now. And when we look at global liquidity, you can see we're still on track. We deviated a little bit, but this thing's not 100%. But you can see global liquidity is continuing up. On a weekly perspective, if you take a look at the daily, this isn't going to line up, but you can see we are taking somewhat of a pullback, but the direction is still bullish overall. You can see that. So the trend is still upward. We haven't lost the trend yet, so we're looking good right now. I still am expecting higher prices. Of course, we're waiting for Bitcoin to have a durable break to the upside, but global liquidity continues ramping up, then this should continue going up. And of course, we're going to be looking at the dollar to determine where global liquidity will go. We had a short move up on the dollar, and that's probably part of that reason that we got a little bit of a pullback on the global liquidity. But as the dollar continues to fall down, because it is creating a bearish structure, then we should get an increase in global liquidity, which will extend Bitcoin's move and will extend MSTR's move. Here on Bitcoin, also creating that bull flag that we have been speaking of. Still extremely bullish. And if we were to take this as our hypothetical bottom, like I said, you're sitting at 152 or something like that. That'd be pretty nice if this bull flag were to play out. But it is forming pretty nice right now. Taking wicks to the bottom, wicks to the top side. So we'll see where things take us. We are creating a little bit of a downward sloping trend line here. So let's see if we can break that, get a nice close above it. Looks like we got a little push outside of it and push right back down, retest it again. So let's see when we touch it again, if we can finally break out, retest and push up higher, or if we just continue to stay range bound. So we did close underneath our mid level here on the daily. So this increases the odds of a retest, which it looks like we're trying to retest now, and continue to push down to the 102.8 mark. Now, if we were to lose this level here, if we were to push down below this gray level here and get a close on the daily, it increases our odds of retesting and pushing down much further. Our next level of support would probably be around here, sitting at around 97 to about maybe 95K, somewhere around there. So that's what I would expect if we were to fall underneath here, close. It would increase the odds of pushing down there once we break this wick at 100,370. That would probably build a little bit of momentum to the downside, and maybe we get a little wick and then continue back up. Now to the upside, if we were to push back above here, get a close, continue to chop, and finally break out, I would expect a retest and then moving to the top of this range here. That's kind of where I see Bitcoin going at the moment. It is looking like it's trying to create like a nice little double top on the 4-hour, but we'll see if it continues to play out or if we get a clean move once we break above this wick here at 105,375. But we do have this key level of resistance, so that might stop price from pushing it back up. But when you zoom out and you start looking at the past trends, every 4 years, you got 17, 21, potentially 25. You have 18, 22, potentially 26. So you can see the 4-year cycle, we have been touching the top of this trend line or the top of the channel. And here, every 4 years from 18, 22, potentially 26, we have been touching the bottom of the trend line or bottom of the channel. So if that were to play out, that would take us to much higher prices, and a rough estimate of, a 250% gain if that were to play out. I'm not saying it's going to play out. If this were to play out perfectly, you're talking about a 250% move, and if we were to fall all the way down to the bottom of the channel, you're talking about potentially a 78% move. But also remember, this this channel will continue moving, so it could be higher as we as it takes time. You understand what I'm saying? So If you touch it here, maybe we touch it over here. So it could be at 120K. But if it takes a sharp drop because economic uncertainty or something like that, then maybe we touch it here at 76K. So it all depends on when you make contact with that channel. That'll determine the price because it's an upward sloping channel. So just something to consider. So when you measure out this first move from 17, you see the move up. We pull back to the 786. We fall underneath it, but then we get a final bounce off the 786 and we push up higher. And then on this move here, where we take it from our bottom here, you can see that we push up, we make it to the 786, and then we push up higher. So if we were to take it there and we say that's our hypothetical top, obviously I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's just for hypothetical purposes. If we made it to the 786, that would kind of line up with what happened in the first two cycles, or the first two on this chart here. If we were to make it all the way up, we pull back to the 786, that could land anywhere from 91,000 or so, 90 to 94K, something around there. And then maybe we get our bounce there, or maybe it's maybe because of the mass adoption and everybody purchasing, maybe it doesn't go down as far. It just continues to have diminished returns, and the drops start to diminish as well. And it just continues to stabilize over time. So that's always a possibility as well. So keep that in mind. And total crypto kind of have a similar idea where we had a large move up to the top of the channel, pulled back, large move up, pulled back to the bottom, and a large move up. On this first push up here, we stayed majority of the time between the 0.5 to 618 here. We had our drop underneath it, but of course that was due to COVID, so a black swan. But you can see price stayed within the 0.5 to 618 majority of the time. And then here, price didn't really stay there that much. We did get a bounce off of it, but it didn't hug in that region as much. It stayed more within the 236 to the 382, a lot more bullish than this move. And I think this move could have kind of played out like this one if we didn't get that COVID crash, which means the top could have been much higher. So maybe this is what we'll end up getting here in this cycle. We'll find out, of course. I could see us making our way to the top of the channel and then getting a nice pullback to the bottom of this rising wedge, if you want to call it that. And here on the Tether Dominance, as we know, we spoke about this prior, where Bitcoin tends to find its local tops where we touch this blue line, this touch here, we got a top, touch here, top. You see it happening again and again. And we got the local top here in January, and we still have a ways to go. So we're still over 20% of a drop away from touching that. So that could ignite a very large move on Bitcoin if we were to touch it again. And currently we are sitting at 4.84. We are range bound as well. It's part of the reason why Bitcoin is not going anywhere and MSTR is not going anywhere. Kind of stuck within this like bear flag, if you will. It looks like we kind of got a breakout right now. We closed, we're retesting. So let's see if we retest or if we fall back within the range and continue chopping. Well, let's see. We want to see a move, ideally continue to chop and then break down. We want to fall underneath this level, which we have before, and then we just reclaimed it. We are creating higher lows here and lower highs here. So ideally, we want to get a break below this key level of support, close, retest, and then make it to the bottom of this range. And that would ignite a pretty large rally. And if we fall underneath this level, I think we'll get a very big rally on Bitcoin. Because when you take a look, it's pretty clean moves. You have a little bit of resistance along the way, but it should be a pretty strong move down to about the four flat region. So that would be a very, very huge move. But right now, it looks like it is trying to break out, as we did get a close above this downward sloping trend line. Retesting it. Hopefully we don't push up any higher and we continue to create lower highs here. On the weekly SMAs, on the bright side, we do have the 20 and the 50 above our head here on the Tether Dominance, so that should push price down. But on the daily, we have support with the 20 and the 50. So we have resistance on the weekly and support on the daily. So we're kind of sandwiched right now, and I would imagine Tether Dominance will probably make a pretty large move after this compression between these two levels. It's going to make a large move to the upside or to the downside. Hopefully to the downside, and we get that big breakout that everybody's been waiting for on Bitcoin. And then here on MSTR divided by IBIT, you can see we went up 1.94% today. It's pretty good. We did have a red day the day prior on Monday, but let's see if we can make it back to this on top of this trend line and eventually on top of this trend line and make our way up. When you do look here, you see a clean move. So I do think once we break above this level here, I think we can get a clean move to 695. Of course, not going to be that easy, but in terms of TA, it should be a pretty clean move. We don't have too much traffic to the left-hand side. And on the daily, we do have this SMA that we just closed above on the 20, so that's a good sign. Now we are going to have some resistance here at the 6.54 level on MSTR divided by IBIT. You have the 50-day right there, so that's going to be a key level of resistance, which we don't want to see. But we also do have some support here on the weekly with the 20-week holding price up right now, which is awesome. And we want to get a nice bounce off of that. We want to see a nice move like we saw here and like we saw here. Right now, we're just creating higher highs, higher lows, just slowly chopping. Of course, we're not going to get anything too major until Bitcoin gets a durable breakout. So I know it's frustrating to see it go sideways for so long, but we also have to be realistic. If Bitcoin's not going anywhere, MSTR is not going anywhere. So I appreciate you guys watching. Like and subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.